This is Mark Bell from supertraining.tv, Supertraining Gym, the strongest gym in the West, answering more questions today for the Power Project. But first things first, we have to get to the cliffhanger. The last cliffhanger that I said was, what are two things that you actually cannot physically do that are great cues in the bench press? One on the way down and one on the way up. The answer is, on the way down, you try to bend the bar. You try to squeeze the bar as hard as you can, and you try to bend the bar. That automatically is going to put your elbow inward a little bit, give you a little bit of a tuck, some tuckage. It's also going to help you to kind of engage your lats on the way down and keep that shoulder blade tucked back into its socket where it needs to be. The other cue is to spread the bar apart. You want to try to wrap your elbow around the bar. The same thing is true with overhead pressing. You want to try to take that elbow, it's going to be slightly inward here, and you want to try to chuck it outward a little bit. Same thing here. You're going to spread the bar apart and get that elbow to lock underneath it. That's going to help with your lockout tremendously. That's going to help you if you get stuck a little bit. Now, we have another cliffhanger for you. Who holds the record for the highest sumo deadlift of all time in the history of powerlifting, and how much weight is it? Who holds the record for the biggest sumo deadlift of all time, and how much weight did he lift? Okay, now we got a lot of questions about CarbNite. People want to know about my energy levels. Well, how do they seem to you? They seem the same to me. Energy levels are good. Strength is okay. Strength isn't great. I'm not going to lie to you. I did a 500-pound floor press on Thursday, but I've smoked 500 pounds on a floor press for triples before. I think I've even done it for like a set of 6 or 7 off the floor when I was at my strongest. But some things to consider. I did have an injury, a very, very bad injury to my lower body. I fell with 1,080, and that kept me off my feet for a little bit, disrupted training a little bit. And when I started getting back to training, of course, I started to hurt my shoulders because I couldn't use my legs, and the bench pressing was altered quite a bit. As far as my actual overall strength, I feel pretty good. I don't feel like it's too far off. My best floor press ever is 585. You're not always going to be at your very, very best, but even considering that, I think that over the next couple of weeks and over the next few months, I can improve and I can get stronger as I get lighter. Will I be stronger than I was before? That remains to be seen. That'll be hard to tell. But people are asking about the energy levels, and the energy levels are fine as long as on CarbNite you keep the fat content high. You need the fat in order to burn the fat in the absence of carbohydrates. That's a key component right there. John Kiefer just wrote an article for Power Magazine, thepowermagazine.com, in an upcoming issue of Power Magazine. And in a previous issue of Power Magazine, I interviewed him thoroughly about CarbNite and carbohydrate backloading. We'll do more interviews like that soon with him so we can cover all this stuff. But buy his books, Carbohydrate Backloading. He also has a book called CarbNite. Look it up on dangerouslyhardcore.com. You're going to find all the information there. But in this recent article that he wrote for me, it was about fat burning fat. And fat doesn't actually officially burn fat, especially in the presence of carbohydrates. But without carbohydrates, when you eat fat, it can help fuel your body. It can help have your body to rely on fat as its main source of energy. That's what ketosis is all about. This is a ketogenic diet. I've been having questions about that as well. The ketogenic diet, your body's going to go into ketosis, it's going to produce ketones, and your body's going to utilize those as fuel. I also am a firm believer that the fat protects the muscle. I've been hearing more research lately that healthy fats can help protect muscle better than carbohydrates. And who would have thought that a couple years back when everybody was talking about loading up on carbohydrates and things like that. Speaking of loading up on carbohydrates, I don't believe you can really load up on carbohydrates. You know how the old football teams used to load up on carbs the night before? I don't think that works. I don't think that's effective. I think it's an ineffective way to do it. However, keeping your blood sugar levels stable for periods of time can be beneficial, and just making sure that you're not neglecting anything. In terms of performance, there is no better diet than eating things in moderation. I do not think that in strict terms of performance, not body fat composition, in strict terms of just performance alone, I do not think you can restrict your body from eating anything. And that includes pizza and ice cream and shit like that. Guys like Michael Phelps and guys who are on top of their game, guys who are burning thousands of calories per day, they're going to have to do some extreme things to keep their calorie content up and make sure they're not in a catabolic state. I don't know if Michael Phelps eats pizza, but that's just an example. And other athletes out there that are expending large amounts of calories. Even some of the CrossFit guys that I work with, I occasionally will tell them, hey dude, go throw down a pizza. You know, these guys are going to need that fuel. But to continue to eat like that for days on end and to eat like that consistently is a giant mistake for any athlete, even a power athlete, even a power lifter. You don't want to eat. You want to try to avoid junk food as much as you possibly can. Things that are high in sugar, things that are just high in sugar and high in fat at the same time. That's the ultimate disaster. However, those things can be utilized to your advantage for certain things, such as post-workout. You can eat, things that are high in glycemic index post-workout. You can eat, especially if you're a leaner athlete, you can eat a candy bar or two after your workout. It really doesn't matter. In my opinion, it really doesn't matter. Some of you might, have something to say about that, but that's okay. We're all entitled to our own opinion. But anyway, back to CarbNite. Keep in mind, when I do CarbNite, I'm not doing carbohydrate backloading, as all of you wish, because I know you guys want to eat more carbs out there, and you're trying to follow some of the things I'm doing, which I appreciate and I think is great. But keep in mind, I'm not doing carbohydrate backloading. You fat fucks. I'm doing CarbNite, and CarbNite is 7 days of no carbohydrates, 7 days of low carbohydrates, trying to keep the carbs all the way down to zero. And then a ton of questions come up from that, and there shouldn't be a ton of questions. What do you eat when you're on no carbs? Meat. Period. And that's pretty much it. You got bacon, you have other sources of pork, you have rotisserie style chicken, chicken with the skin on it, barbecue chicken. You got steak, you have ground beef, and the list starts to get shorter and shorter from there. You got eggs, some forms of sausage can be okay. Kind of watch it on that, just because the fat content can just be absolutely astronomical, and that's not really your goal. Your goal isn't to consume as much fat as possible. And let's see what else we got. I eat certain things. I eat things like salami. I eat nuts, raw cashews, raw macadamia nuts. Those are going to give me fiber and healthy fats to help me poop and to help keep my body fueled, keep my body strong. I really feel that the fats are also helping to keep me strong. Although I'm not as strong as I've ever been, I'm also pretty much lighter than I've been in probably 5 or 6 years. So I can't really remember. That's how long it's been since I've been this light. And I still got a little bit of double chin. You see that? How disgusting is that? Let's see, what else? It's very common, I want to make this point to you guys. It's very common to see a 4 to 6 pound swing on your CarbNite. CarbNite, 7 days no carbs. The last 2 to 3 meals, you get to carb up. You get to eat some carbohydrates. And sometimes the next day, you can be 4 to 6 pounds heavier. In some cases, a little bit more. Do not be discouraged about that. Anybody who goes off of these diets, let's say you go out and all your buddies are drinking, and for whatever reason you can't control yourself and you have a couple drinks, just remember, you're 1 meal away from being back on the diet, just as you are 1 meal away from being off the diet. Just because you go off the diet doesn't mean you need to completely go off the deep end. Just because you put your toes in the water doesn't mean you need to jump all the way in and get your entire body submerged in chocolate cake and whatever else you're going to eat. So keep that in mind. The other day my mom made cookie bars. How am I going to refuse my mom's cookie bars? The answer is I'm not. And I had a night of debauchery, a night of cookies, and a night of peanut butter pie, and so on and so forth. And the next day was back to being strict, back to no carbs. And I was doing good, and my mom came over and she's like, hey, I made cookie bars. And I said, oh shit. So I had one cookie bar, and I was like, you know what, that's not conducive to where my goals are. I can eat that cookie bar, but just not today. So I ate one cookie bar and then returned back to the diet, which that one cookie bar is probably enough to keep me out of ketosis for the rest of my life, because it's pretty much just a pile of chocolate and sugar. Things are fantastic. Any other questions you guys have about CarbNite, please hit me up. Please ask away. I am not a nutrition expert. I am not a diet expert, but I am going through this, and I have lost over 30 pounds, probably closer to 35 pounds, and just going to keep on going. Should be down to about 260 pounds by the end of this week. And that is it from supertraining.tv. Later.